Okay, so in August 6, 2001, I was walking to work, and I lived in Malden at the time and would take the Orange Line from Malden to Bunker Hill Community College stop and walk across the Gilmore Bridge from Charlestown over to Cambridge. And I worked in the courthouse as an assistant district attorney at the time. And so I was walking across the bridge, and at the time, the big dig was going on, and I was fascinated by all the construction, so I would often turn and look and watch the trucks and the cement and everything happening and wonder about what was going on with that. So on this particular day, it was like no different than any other day. It was very hot, it was sunny, it was bright, it was beautiful, and so I got about halfway across the bridge, and I'm looking behind me, and 1 minute I'm walking, and the next minute I have fallen into the bridge. So 3/4 of the way, halfway across this bridge, there are 3 utility boxes, about 2.5 by 3. And one of these utility boxes, the first one, they were doing work apparently there, and somebody had cut 3/4 of the panel out and took 1/4 of it away. But they didn't leave the 3/4 over on the walking side, which was straight in the middle of the walking path. They had it situated in the middle. So there was about 4 or 5 inches on one side and 4 or 5 inches on the other, which happened to be straight in the middle of the path. Now, somebody safety conscious had put an orange cone on the middle of this, which was in the shadow of the bridge, and not covering the hole that was straight in the middle of this walkway, which is very heavily walked across from side to side. So what happened as I was walking and not paying attention but looking behind me at the construction was my left foot hit the panel that was situated in the middle, and my right foot hit that hole and fell straight through until it could fall no further, which happened to be right here in my thigh. And so the good thing, one, I was in shock. I didn't even know what had happened to me. So I was completely horrified. But the good thing was that when I looked behind me at the construction, I noticed there was a man walking behind me, and I thought, ooh, well, maybe he'll get me out of this hole, which there was just no possible way I was pulling myself out. And so my leg was absolutely wedged in there. And so within a minute, he came and he, hoisted me up. And someone called an ambulance on their cell phone and gave me their cell phone. I called work, and I said, I don't think I'm going to be in right away because I fell in the Gilmore Bridge, and they're called an ambulance, and there are people here, it's fine, but they're going to take me to the hospital, and I'll check in later. And so as I'm sitting there, and they gave me, their napkins from their coffee and whatever was in their purses, and I'm holding it onto my leg, and I have this huge gash in my leg. And there is blood everywhere. There's blood on my skirt, there's blood on my leg, there's blood on the napkins. And as I look down on the bridge pavement, there are these little peachy pieces of something. And I look really close, and I'm thinking, what is that? And it turns out that it's the flesh from my leg that came out when I slit it on that. And when they pulled me out, it splattered on the cement. And so there's these little fatty tissues on the bridge. And so I am a very neat person, and I am completely horrified and mortified that my flesh is dirtying the bridge, and people are going to walk by and see this and be disgusted, and I caused this mess on this bridge. So despite the fact that I have this gaping hole in my leg that requires 10 stitches later that morning, and despite the fact that I'm in complete shock, I ask for napkins, more napkins, and these people who are so worried about me think I'm going to put it on my leg and hold this blood that's coming through my leg. And I start trying to pick up these pieces of flesh off the bridge so that no one will know that I made a mess of the bridge. And they say they're absolutely horrified. Their eyes are huge like saucers. Like, what are you doing? Put the napkins on your leg, lady. It's gonna be fine. The EMTs will clean up everything. Don't worry. So the ambulance comes, takes me away, my first ride in an ambulance, and takes me to the hospital. And my people at work had sent over a coworker to keep me company, which was very sweet of them. And so she's there in the room with me, and as I'm watching, just waiting for someone to come in and take care of me, I start looking at my leg, and I was like, wow, I can see, what is that I can see there? God, that's my muscle. I can see my thigh muscle. I'm like, wow, this is really, really cool. I was the kind of kid that would watch the cats, eat the mice in the barn when I was growing up. And so I started moving my leg, and the muscle moved, and I was like, check this out. This is awesome. I didn't know that she was pregnant and becoming quite sick right there in the room, and she promptly disappeared for half an hour looking for water at the other end of the hospital, I'm sure. So the whole point of the story, I thought about it afterwards. I thought, why did this happen to me? Why did I fall into the bridge? And I thought, well, obviously, I wasn't paying attention to where I was walking, and it took me until this August, when I told this story at a Story Slam workshop here in Boston, to realize that what was really happening is that I wasn't paying attention to where I was going in my life. That incident followed 4 more years. After that, 4 more years of chronic illness. And in 2005, I started paying attention to what my body was telling me, and I've pretty much been healthy ever since.